Nutty Sports Gamer here. Another episode of the 40-Year Sim. Guys, gals, let me tell you something. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, ever since I started this sim. The 92 draft, the Shaq draft. Who's going to get Shaq? Shaq is going to be in the 40-Year Sim starting now, and we're not going to look back. We're going to have as much Shaq as possible because he's like one of my favorite players of all time. So I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing where he lands and how his career plays out in this alternate history. So yeah, and there's a lot of different ways to like handle his career as we check out the draft lottery results. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it organic. You know, whoever he ends up going to, we'll see how it works. If it's a dumpster fire, we'll address it. If ends up being a great situation, maybe we'll ride with it. You know, if it ends up being a situation where it's fun for a while, but then the fun is over and he needs to go somewhere else, we'll address that too. You know, I'll any scenario that happens, I'm open to change. I'm that's a big thing about this 40-year sim. I'm open to evolution, open to change. Right, guys like Charles Barkley, Joe Dumars going on the Mavericks. Gary Payton getting drafted to the Heat, right? Then there are situations where it's like the Supersonics, where it's like, come on, they need something. So I gave them Sean Kemp because I got tired of the Sonics being terrible, right? So there's different situations that pop up where it's like, you know what, we got to make a decision here. We gotta help a team out, or we gotta let it ride. Payton to the Heat, let's let it ride. I was kind of hoping he'd go to the Sonics, but I kind of like him being on the Heat too. It's a kind of a cool alternate universe. So all that said, let us get to the top three of this draft because that's what we're really here for. Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic are out of the Shaq sweepstakes. They're not going to get them. So who's it going to be? There are three teams left in this draft lottery. Who's going to get Shaq? Let's check out the number 3 pick. It's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves with the number 3 pick. They don't get Alonzo Mourning. They don't get Shaq. They won 7 games, and they don't get either Hall of Fame player. Jesus Christ. That's so awful. And the number 2 pick is the Miami Heat, who would get Alonzo Mourning, which is a pretty damn great consolation prize for them. Vlade Divac will find him a new home because Mourning's going there. And the Milwaukee Bucks are going to get Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal is going to go to the Milwaukee Bucks. Not an expansion team. He's not going to help the Heat, the Wolves, or the Magic thrive. Right? He's going to go to an older team, the Bucks. What does that do for the other expansion teams? The Heat should be fine. They have Gary Payton. They have Alonzo Mourning now. They're going to be pretty damn cool by the mid-90s, right? They're going to be a pretty awesome team. The Wolves, though, the Magic. What happens to the Magic now? There's so many... I can't believe it. You have all these terrible expansion teams. None of them get Shaq. The Bucks get Shaq. And the Bucks, what happened when they were an expansion team, right? A year or two into being an expansion team, to get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they win a championship in 1971, right? So now they get Shaq in this alternate universe. Now they get Shaq. Wow. I'm just going to take a breath and just think about this situation. You know? Holy smokes. It's just, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You spend a lot of time on this sim, and the result comes that you just weren't expecting. I mean, the Bucks were terrible for a long time. So I guess they deserve Shaq. I'm just surprised it happened. And here it is. Look at him wearing the Orlando Magic jersey. That's not happening here. He's going to the Bucks. And the Miami Heat are going to take Alonzo Mourning, just like you would think. And he actually played for the Heat, so that's kind of funny. Christian Laettner goes to the Wolves. Sorry, Wolves. Orlando Magic get Chris Smith. For some reason, he's a top 4 or 5 pick. I don't understand that. Jim Jackson to the Denver Nuggets, He doesn't end up staying there for long, and I'll explain why later. LaFonso Ellis to the Heat, another solid pick for the Heat. They really are accumulating a lot of assets, a lot of great young players. Elmore Spencer to the 76ers. You got Malik Sealy out of St. John's going to the Charlotte Hornets. Golden State Warriors draft Robert Wordan, also from St. John's. Denver Nuggets again. O.J. Carroll, who I don't think he was real. I think he's a generic. Which, in my view, a generic. If you draft a generic, you basically drafted a bust because they're not going to see the court. Walt Williams to the Bucks. Boston Celtics select Lee Mayberry. Okay. Spurs select Tom Gugliotta. That's a guy. He's a guy. He had some good seasons. Cavaliers get Robert Horry to the Cavaliers with Reggie Miller and Mark Price. Harold Miner goes to the Pistons. Slam dunk. Hopefully we'll see him in the slam dunk competition. Clarence Witherspoon, that's definitely a guy I recognize. He's going to go to the Rockets. Lakers draft Doug Christie. Doug Christie to the Lakers. Interesting. Sacramento Kings select Dave Johnson out of Syracuse. Portland Trailblazers select Mark Strickland. I'm not sure. Is he related to Rod Strickland? I don't think he actually is, despite the last name. Randy Woods goes to the Denver Nuggets. Philadelphia 76ers select Marlon Maxey. Is he Tyrese Maxey's father? I don't know. And Latrell Sprewell. Latrell Sprewell goes to the Knicks. Whoa. Curtis Blair to the Mavericks. I don't think there's any other noteworthy names. Let me just talk about Latrell Sprewell to the Knicks. What? That is pretty. I'm envisioning it, and it's. I mean, he actually played for the Knicks for a couple of seasons, but I feel like he wasn't really there for his prime. You know, his prime was like those first few seasons on the Warriors where he was just like lights out. So I'm really looking forward to seeing young Sprewell playing with Patrick Ewing, who's still got a lot of good seasons left ahead of him. Bernard King is winding down, so this is perfect for the Knicks to get Sprewell, as Bernard King is like close to retirement, and Charles Oakley and Ewing are still putting up big numbers, rebounding numbers for Oakley, and a great defender still he is. And then Ewing, he was a MVP of '92, so cool to see Sprewell playing with those guys. We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, that's the draft. That is the '92 draft. Not a lot of like super notable names, just other than a couple, right? Obviously Shaq and Alonzo Mourning. Then you got guys like Robert Horry, who we'll see how his career plays out, right? We'll see if he ends up winning 7 rings like it did in real life. Then you got also Christian Laettner. Maybe Laettner actually turns out to be a good player, like a consistently good player over a number of seasons. We'll see. We'll see if that's something that can happen. We've seen players like Roy Hinson in this sim turn out to have pretty interesting careers, despite in real life being disappointing. So you never really know how things are going to play out. And Doug Christie is definitely that's going to be interesting to see how he develops. We'll see if he stays in the Lakers for very long or if he gets dealt somewhere eventually. And I'm going to say it again. Latrell Sprewell to the Knicks. I'm looking forward to that very much so. One note I will make about Sprewell, I'll just say it off the bat. The cornrows, he should not have cornrows this early in his career. He didn't have cornrows till a couple seasons into his career. I cannot change his appearance for some reason. It won't let me, so that's bullshit. But what are you going to do? But let's check out some trades. Sam Bowie has been traded from the 76ers to the Mavericks for a first-round pick. I meant to make that lottery protected. I might go back and make that lottery protected because that trade is kind of a wild trade to trade for Sam Bowie and give up an unprotected first. Meanwhile, Richard Dumas is being traded to the Kings for lottery protected first in '93. Which when I think about that might not be the worst trade idea. Alvaro Teheran and the second round pick goes to the Wolves for the second round pick. I don't remember why I did that trade. Alvin Robinson and Randy White to the Lakers for Ricky Pierce and AC Green. That's a big one. Alvin Robinson was not happy in Atlanta, He had to go, and so he's going to the Lakers for a change of scenery. You got Rolando Blackman going to the Bulls for John Turner, second round pick. That's a pretty big one. We'll see how Rolando Blackman shakes out coming off the bench. Jim Jackson, like I said, he wasn't going to be on the Nuggets for very long. He gets traded along with a first lottery protected first round pick for Reggie Williams. So the Nuggets are really trying to make their team a playoff caliber team. That's also why they traded for Rick Mahorn in a separate trade with the Clippers, because they want to bring some defensive toughness and some rim protection off the bench. Got Terry Teagle going to the Bucks. Now that the Bucks might actually be a playoff team, they're going to get some help with Teagle. Nuggets traded Andrew Kennedy for a first round lottery protected pick in '95 with the Pistons. So Pistons get Andrew Kennedy after Alex English is gone, right? The big trade here, Len Bias. Len Bias to the Bullets for Zaire McDaniel, 2 first-round picks, Stanley Roberts, Terry Catledge, all going to the Warriors. Len Bias is going to go to the Bullets. That's a big one. Len Bias from Maryland, went to school in Maryland, so he's going to be back in the DMV area. I thought that's a fun thing to check out. He's going nowhere with the Warriors, and the Warriors are going nowhere with him. So it's time for a change of scenery there. And so if you see down there, Sarunas Marshall-Lonis going to the Blazers for a first-round top 10 protected pick. Celtics are, getting old. Their guys are about to retire, so it's time to collect some assets here and there. Nick Anderson gets traded to the Hornets for a lottery protected first, and Malik Sealy, Haywood Workman. Jacksonville also goes to the Hornets in that trade. You got Randy Brewer going to the Timberwolves. No, I think the Hornets had too many centers, so that's why I made Brewer go to the Wolves. Bedford goes to the Wolves as well. So now the Wolves have a healthy dose of centers on their roster. Now let's get into the 1993 rosters. Nate McMillan, Vinny Del Negro, Lionel Simmons, Jeff Sanders, and Bison Dele. That's now your starting five for the 76ers. They're officially entering development rebuild mode. We'll see if Nate McMillan and Avery Johnson stay with the team, but for now they're there to guide. They're basically like, at least Nate McMillan is like a veteran leader on this team consisting of mostly young guys. So yeah, the Sixers, it's time. It's time to develop. Bucks, Chris Childs, Jay Edwards, Kendall Gill, Eldon Campbell, Shaquille O'Neal, and then Felton Spencer, who was drafted a couple seasons ago, is relegated to the bench now. Robert Pack, Terry Teagle, Willie Anderson, Anthony Event. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting to see how Shaquille O'Neal fits with his team. And you got Sisting in there, Elton Lister, Popeye Jones. But, yeah, I'm very curious to see how this shakes out. I mean, this team won 21 games last season, and all they did really was add Shaq and Terry Teagle, right? Everyone else is pretty much it's the same core of characters as they were last season. So we'll see just how much Shaquille O'Neal can elevate this team. I mean, there's, of course, a lot of development for guys like Kendall Gill and Chris Childs and Eldon Campbell, who's now in the starting five. So he went from being a second-round pick to being a starter for the Bucks in just a couple of seasons. So that's a pretty nice progression for him. And yeah, we'll just see how Shaq fits with all these guys, and can this team alone be a playoff team or at least a 40-win team? Kind of like Shaq's first year with the Orlando Magic. I think did they just miss the playoffs? I actually think they made the playoffs, or they won like 41 games, something like that. So we'll see if a similar thing happens here with the Milwaukee Bucks. They certainly have a fun group of young guys. The Bullets: John Stockton, Reggie Lewis, Len Bias, Terry Mills, Cliff Robinson. Their starting five is a little bit different now with Len Bias and Terry Mills. Terry Mills finally starting for the team, and Len Bias from the Warriors trade. And like I said, he's coming home, right? He's coming home to the DMV area, and we'll see how that works for him. I mean, we'll see if the Bullets, the Bullets, they have great regular seasons, and then they flame out in the playoffs. So we'll see if Len Bias can elevate them, push them further along. Can they give the Bulls a run for their money? Can they get past the Pacers and other top teams in the East now that they have Len Bias? We'll see. That's going to be very interesting. They still have Gerald Wilkins coming off the bench. So they got some bench scoring from him. Ken Norman's still there. Victor Alexander. They had a lot of power forwards, so they could afford to get rid of Terry Catledge and whoever else they got rid of in order to get Len Bias. So it was a move that felt necessary, A, for Len Bias's career, and B, because the Bullets just felt like they were plateauing with the team that they had. Bulls, same starting five as usual. Orlando Blackman coming off the bench is going to be an interesting wrinkle because now that they don't have basically Tony Kukoc is just not going to be there. And I know Tony Kukoc wasn't there for the '93 team, but I do think the Bulls could use some bench scoring, a little bit more bench scoring. So that's why a move to get Blackman felt necessary, and um, I'm hoping that they'll be even more dominant than they were this past season. So we'll see if the Bulls can repeat. We haven't seen a team repeat yet, so I thought maybe if we made the Bulls a little bit stronger, while keeping the starting five intact, maybe that's enough to keep them at the top of the East and at the top of the league. So we'll see. I mean, Paxton's still there. Jordan, Pippen, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, and B.J. Armstrong. But yeah, we'll see how Orlando Blackman fits in with this group, and if they can get into the championship. Because I'm curious to see if that can happen because we haven't seen it yet in the sim, like I said. Cleveland Cavaliers won 46 games last year, had a good season. Now they hope to have an even better season with the signing of Detlef Schrempf. So they let go of Kiki Vandeweghe, who was getting quite old, like I think 34 years old at this point. So they got a much younger player in Detlef Schrempf to fill in at the three spot. Then, other than that, though, it's the same group: Mark Price, Reggie Miller, Larry Nance, Kevin Duckworth, Anthony Mason off the bench. Eventually, I expect Anthony Mason to take Larry Nance's place at starting power forward, but for now he's still on the bench. They just got Chris Washburn, Craig Ello, Robert Horry, Steve Kerr, and Sidney Green. Robert Horry should be an interesting wrinkle. Celtics, Sleepy Floyd is now the starting point guard for the Celtics. They got him from free agency. Got Moncrief, Bird, McHale, LaSalle Thompson, Donald Royal, Mario Elie, Bo Kimball, Dennis Johnson, Robert Parrish at the end of the bench. They likely won't see much playing time where they're at. John Bagley is also their backup point. Moving along a little faster, Clippers. Their point guard now is Johnny Dawkins. Winston Garland is their starting two guard. You got Tyrone Corbin at the 3, Kelly Tripica at the 4, and Purvis Ellison at the 5. The Clippers aren't going to be good. They're not going to be very good. They're likely going to be one of the worst teams to have their own pick in '93. So the hope is that they can get a really good player like a Chris Webber, and then maybe they can actually get themselves out of the gutter and be competitive, based depending on who they get in the '93 draft. But they're basically tanking. Hawks. Their backcourt looks way different. Jay Humphreys, Ricky Pierce. They're not. That's not the new. That's new backcourt. Dominic Wilkins, AC Green is there now. Ralph Sampson, John Williams is still here. Vernon Maxwell, who they got from free agency. John Sundvald, Keith Edmondson, Gary Leonard. It's a bit of a different team, other than the fact that they have Ralph Sampson and Dominic Wilkins. So we'll see how that goes. Gary Payton, Steve Smith, Harvey Grant, Alonzo Mourning, and Vlade Divac now is what the starting five looks like for the Heat. Bit awkward to have Divac and Mourning on the team. I am looking for a trade with Vlade Divac. It's going to happen pretty soon in the season, and I'll cover that when we get there. That's got Clifford Robertson, Eldridge Recasner, Antonio Davis. An interesting team. Interesting team the Heat are. Interesting young team. Hornets. Rod Strickland, Nick Anderson, Glenn Rice, Derek Coleman, Olden Polynice, and they plucked P.J. Brown. P.J. Brown was an undrafted free agent. He was not drafted in the '92 season for whatever reason. He was a good player that for some reason whoever created the '92 draft class that I use did not like. I think they had him like as a 69 overall, which is like way too low for P.J. Brown. So he's on the Hornets now. They got Jack Sigma too, and blah 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 blah. We'll see how the Hornets do. Michael Adams, Rusty Hawkins, Chuck Person, Tom Chambers, Tim McCormick. This Jazz team is pretty much the same as they were last season. Really not much difference at all. Mike McGee is there. But, yeah, the team is good, and they kept their guys. They kept their core guys. The Kings, when are they going to actually make a deep playoff run? KJ Johnson, Jeff Hornacek, Chris Mullin, Otis Thorpe, Arvidas Sabonis. So that's the starting five. It's been the starting five for a few seasons now. Um, that Kenny Walker off the bench. The bench, I would say the bench is a little bit better than than it has been in years past. They got Kenny Walker, they got Richard Dumas, Tom Garrick, Joe Wolf, backing up Arvidas Sabonis. Kevin Gamble is there, so we'll see if an improved bench helps the Kings get further in the playoffs and stuff. Mark Jackson is now the starting point guard for the Knicks. They also got Derek Chivas, Bernard King, Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing. Those are the usual suspects there. Cliff Livingston, Pearl Washington, Tony Campbell, and of course Latrell Sprewell is now on that team. So we'll see how that looks when we check out the Knicks. The Lakers, this could be a serious team. Magic Johnson, Alvin Robertson, James Worthy, 31 years old. Still feels like he's been in the league forever. And Magic Johnson's also only 33. They have a couple of seasons left together. And they have a couple of seasons where they're pretty damn good. You know, Thurl Bailey's there, Kevin Willis, Byron Scott, of course, Joe Barry Carroll, Tony Kukoc for now. I'll get into that in a later episode. Randy White, Wes Matthews, Mel Turpin. Yeah, this team, a lot of interesting players, a lot of good players. Michael Thompson is at the end of the bench. Kurt Rambis, I found in free agency. I decided to put him back in the Lakers. And, of course, Doug Christie at the end of the bench. We'll see how he develops. Yeah. Magic, Pooh Richardson, Al Frederick Hughes, Kenny Green, Larry Johnson, Moses Malone they got from free agency. And, he's winding down his career, so they figured he might sell tickets and tutor these young guys and whatnot. Other than that, this team is kind of whatever. Mavericks, Derek Harper, Joe Dumars, Mark Aguirre, Charles Barkley, and now Sam Bowie is the starting center for the Mavericks. They're hoping that, they're not... He's a reliable double-double guy. He's going to get you like 15 points, 10 boards, and they just need some consistency at that position. And instead of re-signing Moses Malone, who's declining, he's too old. So they decided to get Sam Bowie to mitigate that. And you got Del Curry off the bench. You got Fred Roberts, Mike Kaminsky. I'm not wild about this bench, actually. Todd Lichty, Jose Ortiz. We'll see how the Mavericks do in the regular season, and then if the trade deadline comes around, if they need a better bench, we'll address that. The Nets, they made most of their moves at the last trade deadline, of course, but they also had a Kiki Vandeweghe from free agency. So the Nets are really hoping that they have a playoff team now as we check out the end of the bench. But their starting five is Tim Hardaway. Can I see the starting five again? Jeff Malone, Kiki Vandeweghe, Roy Hinson, and Michael Cage. And, of course, they got Sam Perkins off the bench, Stacey Augmon, and Cedric Ceballos. So this team should be good. This should be a good playoff team now. They have the tools. They have the players. They have the pieces. Now we just got to see it come together in a big way. So I'm hoping that's what happens with all these veterans mixed in with these young players. And, I'm excited for the Nets in 1993. We'll see. We will see how this shakes out. Up next, we have the Denver Nuggets, who also have a team that I expect to do big things. Mookie Blaylock, Dan Marley, Reggie Williams, Charles Smith, Dikembe Mutombo in his second year, Rick Mahorn coming off the bench. So, I really am hoping that this Nuggets team, despite the West being a strong conference, I feel like the Nuggets should be able to make some noise. They got Larry Drew. They also got Antoine Carr. The Hawks were pillaged over the offseason. The Hawks, everyone wanted to leave for some reason. I don't know why. Pacers, Michael Williams, Mitch Richmond, Chris Morris, Karl Malone, Ben Benjamin. Same 25 as last year. Why change it? Roy Tarpley's here. Scott Skiles, Adrian Dantley's still here. Yeah, this team won 55 games, and there's really no reason to change this team. I mean, they're finally good. I don't want to mess this up, I don't want to, try to be too clever about this, So if they're a good team winning over 50 games, then I'm going to keep it like that. Pistons, Isaiah Thomas, Ron Harper, Andrew Kennedy, Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer. Jason Williams now is the sixth man. Willie Burton, Darrell Walker, Reggie Theus still there, Jay Vincent. Yeah, they kind of... we'll see what happens with the Pistons. I'm trying to go through this fast so we get to Shaq. Doc Rivers, Dale Ellis, Purvis Short, Lintel Charles, And freaking Hakeem Olajuwon is the starting five for the Rockets. Got Roy Marvel there too. Ed Horton. What I was about to say about the Pistons is they had two first round exits, so I'm hoping we'll see what they do this upcoming season. Uh, but the Rockets. I mean, Hakeem is pushing almost 30 years old, so it's about time that the Rockets finally do some damage in this season. So we'll see if that's something that can be done, or if they're just always going to be a team that makes the playoffs but can't really do much once they're there. I mean, in 1988 they did make the West Conference Finals, but other than that conference finals appearance in '88, they've been pretty disappointing. So always running into the Dallas Mavericks or the Blazers or the Lakers. They just never can seem to to break through. Of course, in real life, they won in '94, '95. We'll see if that happens in the sim. Spurs, Fat Lever's still here. Ricky Barry, Jerome Kersey, Terry Cummings, David Robinson, the same 75 as last season. They really gave the Mavericks a run for their money in last year's playoffs. So we'll see if they can build off that success. Jerome Kersey's been there for a long time at this point, drafted in '84 and been a Spurs lifer. So at this point, we might as well just have him play out his whole career there, right? I mean, unless there's an obvious upgrade to make, I think we'll just keep things as they are. Tom Gugliotta, Herb Williams, Doug Overton is on this team too. He was I think he was involved in a trade with the Magic. Tim Perry there as well. Kerry Scurry, Ed Pinckney, and yeah, the Spurs made the playoffs last season. I feel like they still have a playoff team. Danny Ainge is the point guard for the Suns. They also have Kenny the Jet Smith, Sean Elliott, Danny Manning, and Brad Daugherty is the starting five for this team. And this team, of course, made it to the 1992 NBA Finals. And they got new logo. They got a new jerseys, which you can get a sneak peek at right here. So I'm really interested to see how this team follows up that finals appearance. They were a 3 seed and they had 49 wins going into the 92 playoffs. So we'll see what happens now that they have some confidence, right? Now that they know they can make the finals, can they be a 60-win team? Can they get a 1 seed? We'll see. Supersonics. Abdul Rauf is now the starting point guard for the Supersonics. He's finally progressed to the point where he can be that guy. Petrovic at the 2 guard spot. Darren McKee, Sean Kemp, Rick Smits. This team looks pretty damn nasty. Maybe Abdul Rauf needs another year of development to really elevate this team. Spud Webb is still here, of course. But yeah, I'm really curious to see just how much better the Supersonics can be compared to the last few seasons where they've had first-round exits. But I'm just happy they're good now. I'm happy that the Sonics are actually a fun young team that's with exciting players. So I'm looking forward to jumping into some Sonics games in '93. Hope that's the case. Hope they don't disappoint. They shouldn't. I don't know why I'm looking at Blair Rasmussen's stats for so long. Why am I doing this? But yeah, Chris Dudley's here. Theo Dean, Chris Dudley. He was another guy who went undrafted, and I found him in free agency, and I was like, whoa, why is Chris Dudley so far down in free agency? So I boosted him up a little bit because he had a couple of seasons where he was effective in the NBA. So I might as well. Whenever that happens, whenever I spot a player in free agency or I notice a player is missing that was in the league, I try to get them in here. The Wolves: Kenny Anderson, Blue Edwards, Dennis Scott, Christian Laettner, William Bedford, Randy Brewer, Danny Ferry, Craig Anderson, Terrell Brandon, Armin Gilliam. I still plan on moving Terrell Brandon at some point because he shouldn't be wasted on the bench here. Scotty Brooks. This team won 7 games. They won 7 games in the 1992 season. The hope is that in '93 they can win more. Blazers: Terry Porter, Drexler, Kellogg, Buck Williams, Dino Raja, who I believe was last year his first year as a starter. I think it was. They got Sarunas Marciulionis off the bench. He should definitely elevate the team a bit. If you're noticing some stats from the 1993 season. I might have played a few games before I I captured all these rosters, so that's why you might see stats for the current season. But yes, that's the Blazers. They're always in the playoffs. We'll see if they can make the finals again. Warriors, the final team: Muggsy Bogues, John Starks, Aaron McDaniel, Grant Lawn, Ronnie Cycli, Terry Catledge, Mike Mitchell, Paul Pressey, Dana Barros. They might not be that good. I don't know. They're never good. Who knows with the Warriors? But let's move on. Let's move on to some Shaq footage as promised. Just a taste of Shaq. That's all that I want to give you this time around. We're going to see plenty of Shaq in later episodes. I actually have an episode devoted entirely to Shaq and Alonzo Mourning coming up a few episodes down the line. But yeah, I figured we can't end this episode without seeing a little bit of what Shaq looks like on this Milwaukee Bucks team, and what better opponent to have him play against than Karl Malone and the Indiana Pacers. So I'm excited about this. This is going to be fun. I know sometimes I sound tired and not enough energy when I do some of these videos because, you know, I make long videos and I do these before I go to bed. Speaking of which, it's 11 o'clock right now, and I want to go to bed. But Shaq is going to wake me up every time. So does he not look big enough out there? That's what I was worried about. But here he is, Shaq, getting the rebound here, and not the dunk, but he gets the putback, so that's nice. Now here's Shaq up against Benoit Benjamin, doing some post work, missing that shot. He'll make those later in his career. Shaq again against Benjamin. This time he also misses, so he's making some rookie mistakes. It's his first game in the NBA, so what do you expect? And the Pacers, decided to show you a little bit of the Pacers, just a tiny little bit. Michael Williams handling the ball at the top of the key, passing into Mitch Richmond, who's improved quite a bit over the offseason, his player progression. He's now basically all-star caliber. And Karl Malone makes that shot for the Pacers. Now here's O'Neal calling for the ball, making this shot off glass. And now we're going to the fourth quarter. Still waiting for a Shaq dunk. Let's see if we can get it here. Shaq against Malone. Misses that shot. 88-79. They're losing by 9, the Bucks are. Now here's Shaq making that shot for the Bucks. Cut the deficit to 7. Mitch Richmond to Karl Malone, who is going to get blocked by Shaq right there. That's going to be a fun component too. Shaq with his blocks and his dunks. It's going to be fun. Oh, man. And did you notice he's wearing number 34? He stole Giannis's number from the pass. And here's Shaquille O'Neal making that basket, making that putback, and alley-oop to Shaquille O'Neal. You gotta love it. He's got hops as a rookie. It's so great to see. Here's him playing some pretty damn good defense against Karl Malone. So I wanted to show you that. Here he is getting double teamed. It doesn't matter. He makes that basket. 92-90. This game's actually getting pretty close. Getting pretty interesting. Look at him with the pick and roll. Here he is getting this layup here. He's mobile. He moves quickly as a rookie. You just love to see it. Michael Williams and Karl Malone gets blocked by Shaq again. Blocked again by Shaq. Oh, this is so cool. I'm loving this. And now here's Chris Childs to Shaq. And Shaq, baseline, draws the foul. Okay, and now we get to see, maybe. Do we get to see his patented free throws, maybe? I can't remember if that's the case, but, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Now, Shaq, infamously, he's known for his poor free throw shooting, which we're going to finally get to here. So let's see his free throw form in this game. Yeah. Oh my god, I love this so much. He's here, guys. Michael Jordan. It's like that was great too. I mean, it's great to have Jordan, but we waited so long, right? It's been a long wait for Shaq, and he's finally here, and he's got his free throw form. That's how he makes the free throw. I mean, he is like a 50% shooter, I guess, so makes one, misses one. That's about right. Kendall Gill. You know, Shaq has teammates. Kendall Gill's a pretty damn good player. But all he did was dribble, so that's not really showing much. Jay Edwards misses that three-pointer, and a foul there, intentional foul. It's going to lead some free throws for the Pacers. And I'm not quite sure who number 42 is on the Pacers, actually. And we just went over the rosters. Oh, Tarpley, duh. Jesus Christ. Oh, well. But yeah, Shaq. Pacers win, but what a debut from Shaq, man. He looked fantastic out there. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with Shaq on the Bucks. Doesn't matter what team he's on, but the Bucks seem to have they have a fun roster. So maybe this will work, at least in the beginning. We'll see just how good Shaq can be on this team. I don't know what the hell I'm doing right here, trying to find a screenshot. I don't know what I'm doing. But, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, in the episode. And I hope you enjoyed watching it. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. I mean, now that I have Shaq, certainly now is the time to subscribe if there ever was a time. Yeah. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I look very much forward to showing you the rest of the 93 season. We got, I think in the next episode, I'm going to show you most of the other teams. And then episode after that, I'm going to show you the rest of the teams that I haven't covered yet. So, yeah, I show you like 23 teams in the next episode, and then I show you the last 4 in the episode after that. And then in the episode after that is Shaq and Alonzo Mourning. So that is very much something to look forward to. And look at his debut. 32 points, 14 rebounds in his first game, 5 blocks. Holy smokes, guys. Holy smokes. But yeah, so that is it. Do I have anything else to show you guys? I don't. Do I show you the 93 draft rosters? I don't know if I do. But the 93 draft is going to be interesting too when we finally get there. You know, Penny Hardaway, Chris Webber. Who else? Who am I missing from the 93 draft? I don't know. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Thank you very much again for watching this video, for clicking on it, and hope if you got this far, if you listened to the entire thing, I really, really appreciate it. Now, I mean, you could click away now. I mean, there's not much else to see. Just showing you a little taste. The next video, we're going to see the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat in one of the highlight packages. And there's Alonzo Mourning, I believe. Is that him on the floor? Is that him getting his legs stretched out? And there's Vlade Divac. And yeah, later on in this season, in one of the first few episodes, I'll show you what I do with Vlade Divac, because it really doesn't work, them together on the court. It doesn't work. So it's something that I felt like I had to address as soon as it was possible. As soon as I could come up with a good scenario for Vlade Divac, I went with it. So that is something to look forward to. This is going to be a very fascinating season. I hope you guys look forward to it as much as I look forward to showing it to you. And as we watch the Heat tip off, goodbye.